Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Oregon, it's been a while since we got to talk about you. Now, I will say the last video I put up, YouTube got a little ticked at it, and down it came, and I won't get into that. But we really haven't had a lot of things going on since the huge beatdown that Ballot Measure 114 took in Harney County. And as we did a follow-up video on that, we kind of said, well, the Oregon Attorney General was talking about getting around to appealing it sometime in the next few months. Goes to show you how important that law is. Well, there seems to be another reason that's actually hanging things up, and it's candidly because the state of Oregon's sore losers. I'll explain why in just a minute. So today, let's spend a few minutes, Oregon, and let's talk about the sore loser that is the Oregon Attorney General. Okay, hey, before we get going down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by, who's this video being brought to you by? Let's ask Travis, the armorer here at Security Gun Club. Travis?
Today, this video is brought to you by Gun Butter. This is absolutely our preferred gun lubricant at the shop here.
Tell us more.
Well, they have over 20 plus years of experience now. They were using the help of aerospace engineer design team. It is non-toxic, non-corrosive, low odor, water, dust, carbon resistant, rust and storage protection for over 20 years. It works in negative 70 degrees all the way up to 700 degrees Fahrenheit. And I love this easy to use needle nose applicator. It gets exactly where you want it and stays there.
You guys using anything else in any of the firearms here at Security Gun Club?
I actually use this on everything. Door hinges to guns, you name it.
All right, hey, if they want to get their hands on some of this, how do they get a hold of Gun Butter?
Gun Butter, you can visit their website at gunbutter.com. There's also lots of shops starting to stock this on their shelves. We stock it here all the time.
That's Gun Butter. Okay, so the case we're talking about yet again today is Arnold v. Cotek. You may not recall the name of the case, but you will recall what it did, which is this is the case that successfully got Oregon Ballot Measure thrown out on its ass on constitutional grounds. Not under Second Amendment grounds, let us remember, actually under Oregon state constitutional grounds. Now, there is a delay, and the delay is caused because we don't have findings of fact and conclusions of law. And the reasons we don't have that is because the Oregon Attorney General's having a tissy fit. Let me explain all of this to you in simple English so you can understand that. When a trial is completed, especially a bench trial, and we know that the matter is going to go up on appeal, the trial court will prepare a document called Findings of Fact and Conclusions of Law. What that is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The judge will make specific findings of fact. After hearing all of the evidence, the judge will literally write out in the order, I find the following to have occurred. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And he'll go through all of the facts that he believes has been proven and the ones that will be, of course, relevant to the court's inquiry. Then the judge will issue a long writing about the conclusion of laws. I believe that the Oregon state constitutional right to keep and bear arms applies to this and this and this. And of course, you will cite case law, you will cite the statutes, you will do all of the proper legal homework, okay? Then once the court has announced what all of its findings of fact are and its conclusions of law, then the final order of the court will be enunciated below as well, as it's already been done before, where the court will enjoin the law as being unconstitutional. Okay, there you go. There's a quick summary of that. What the Oregon Attorney General's office here has a big problem with is some of the findings of fact. Yeah, they are literally filing a motion to have the judge reconsider what he believes he heard. Now, this is not they get to reintroduce evidence. The record is closed on this case, okay? What they're basically doing is they're going to court and saying, well, you know, Judge, I know you think you heard that, and I know you think that's what was proven here in the courtroom, but we're here to tell you different. But and you can imagine already, that's kind of a bit of a Hail Mary pass right there, trying to tell a judge, well, I just don't really think you got it, Judge. But in addition to that, when you start getting into this thing with a fine-tooth comb, and you start seeing what they're complaining about, you really will roll your eyes. Now, it is important when you're appealing that you have accurate findings of fact and conclusions of law. And what the Oregon Attorney General's here is trying to do is try to create additional facts, an inaccurate set of facts from which they can then appeal and say, well, the judge improperly applied the law because take a look at the facts. And so right now what Oregon's really worried about is that the facts that the judge found and the law, as the judge read it, actually matches up, which is exactly what the case is. Okay, now here's the two big factual findings that the Oregon Attorney General is complaining about. The first one, as you will recall, Oregon, is that in order to get your pre-purchase license, you're going to have to go through a NICS background check, which means the FBI was going to have to conduct a background check. Of course, you're only going through that background check to get a license because you haven't been bestowed permission yet to buy a firearm, which means that you're going through a background check that's not really for the purchase of a gun. Doesn't seem like a big deal until you learn out that, oh, yeah, the FBI doesn't run background checks for that. Yeah, NICS doesn't even allow for that to happen, okay? You want to get run through a NICS background check, there's a few avenues by which you can get there. The most common is try to buy a gun. But just because, hey, some state needs you to do this to make sure that we can get this person to their second background check, no, that doesn't fly. And so the court said, listen, you want these people to do a background check and then there is no availability of this background check. Now, post-trial, apparently the state of Oregon has worked out a temporary fix, and they do themselves call it a temporary fix, where, well, the FBI might be willing to do that in some instances with certain conditions, but we don't know for what duration. And the Oregon Attorney General's office actually wants to supplement the record and wants the judge to basically remove his findings of fact that a background check is not available. That goes to show you just how disingenuous, Oregon, your Attorney General's office is being with you. And then the second finding of fact that the Oregon Attorney General's office wants to complain about is that Judge Ratio made a finding that magazines are an integral part to the operation of firearms. I know all of you are going, well, duh, of course he made that finding of fact because that's the case. But as Oregon wants you to know, hey, listen, there's muzzle loaders and things like that. You do not need magazines to make firearms work, or some firearms, although they're basically saying all firearms because you can understand the integrity and the intellect of the arguments that are being made here. So those are two of the big findings of fact that they're challenging. Now, they're also challenging actually a third one, not as vociferously as the other two, but that Judge Ratio said, hey, listen, under this licensing regime, you're at least adding a 30-day waiting period, okay? And I will point out that that was the exact same finding of fact in Maryland Shall Issue v. Moore, another case that came out the same week as this one that threw out the exact same type of legislative scheme, okay? Now, what Oregon is saying is, no. What we've put in place might create a waiting period up to 30 days. But it doesn't mean it's always 30 days. And so they actually want to go into court and have a pissing contest about that as well. So the bottom line is that on January 2nd, the parties are going to go back into court. The state of Oregon is going to try to tell Judge Ratio that he just doesn't know what he's talking about and needs to change his findings of fact. I, for whatever reason, have a feeling that all of those motions on behalf of the state of Oregon will be summarily denied by Judge Ratio. Findings of fact, conclusions of law will be signed. Of course, the injunction will still remain in place. That's the most important thing to all of you. And then the state of Oregon can, as they have promised, move on with an appeal. That appeal will be interesting because it will go to the Oregon State Supreme Court. It should theoretically, however, go to the Oregon Court of Appeals first. If you take a look at the court rules there in the state of Oregon, really only certain matters are allowed direct review to the state Supreme Court. That appeal will be very, very interesting. We will cover that as it happens. But Oregon, as of December 17th of 2024, that's what's going on with Ballot Measure 114, or the lack thereof. Now, I would tell all of you to very carefully watch your state legislature. Watch them carefully, because do not be surprised if 114 rears its ugly head with a Senate bill or a House bill number in front of it. Okay, so the case once again is Arnold v. Cotek. We will link it up down below if you want to geek out on it for yourself. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is also down there in the description box. Now, in the meantime, let's everybody remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.